Okay. Okay, thank you. Now I'm intimidated. Those scores, I expected them to be higher. So we'll see how this one goes. So yeah, because this is my first time. So thank you. So it's that time of year, right? The days are getting shorter. The temperatures are trying to get a little bit cooler. Campaign ads are blaring out of anything that could possibly be blared, right? They're just shooting out there. And teenagers, they're redlining with anxiety. Because at this time of year, for teenagers and their parents who incessantly post on Facebook, this is the time of year where the most important thing is the homecoming dance. Right? Now, I'm an older guy, and I don't quite get homecoming dances. They didn't have homecoming dances when I was a kid. And one of the things I don't get about them is they're teenagers in high school. They don't come home to anything, right? If anything, they really should be called, well, home leaving dances, right? Because they're getting ready to leave home, going to college, service, workplace, whatever it is. So I don't quite get it. So I didn't really pay any attention to homecoming dances until last year when my son introduced me to it, right? So my son is a sophomore in high school, so it's all legitimate. I'm not some middle-aged creepy guy like checking out the homecoming dances, right? It's all perfectly legit. And what was most interesting to me is that there's this social protocol about asking someone to homecoming. It turns out the proposal has to be in pun form. Why, I have no idea, right? But that's the way it is, and I pity the young person who tries to seek a different path and do their own thing. They will be a social outcast, right? So it's got to be pun form. So as much as I don't get homecoming dances, I do get the puns. I think that's the perfect way to do a proposal. This is infinitely better than those ridiculous promposals. Have you heard about these things, right? So, you know, the poor sap in high school wants to ask someone to the prom, and they have to go on this big elaborate promposal. It's a big dog and pony show where sometimes they actually get real dogs and real ponies and do the thing. And this is just ridiculous because one of two things is going to happen, right? It's either going to be a failure or you're going to be widely successful. If you're a failure, right, that means this big public humiliation. You're just going to be, wallowing in that filth that only public humiliation can create, right? That stink just will not go away. And then if you're successful, you also have another problem, right? Because you just came up with this amazing, creative, fun promposal that the actual prom is never going to live up to, right? So basically, you have the prom climax too early, right? And that's no good, because as we know, teenagers, they already have problems with premature climaxes, right? So it's just bad overall, right? So this is why I think getting back to the pun-based proposal is such a great idea. It's the perfect form for high school, right? It's a fit, because with a pun, you can be witty, right? You can be clever, but there's a certain ceiling, right? No pun is ever so wonderful that you're going to overshadow the dance, right? It's just, you can't go much higher, right? So, yeah, so you got that ceiling. A pun can be idiotic, right? A pun can be groan-inducing, but those are usually the better puns, right? So the wonderful thing about puns is that they can be that duality, the good and bad. It doesn't exist with puns, right? Puns are just fun, and that's what high school should be, right? High school dances should be about fun. So I totally get the pun-based proposals. As I said, my high school didn't have homecoming dances, so I missed out on that whole thing. But if I could like Marty McFly it and go back to school, here are some of the puns I'd come up with. So ladies in the audience, if you like the puns, give a shout out. if you don't like the puns, you can shout out too. Drones are welcome either way. So here's a couple potential puns. And I'll kind of give a setup. So here's one that's kind of a holiday mashup. So this is, please make my homecoming like Christmas. Would you be my dear dancer? Everyone get that? Good. Yeah, see, groans, I like it. All right, the next one. Let's see, this one is kind of slightly dated pop cultural reference with some weird urban slang thrown in with the mix. Bruno Mars has his Uptown Funk. Here on Earth, I want to be your homecoming punk. That's it, right? And if you look up punk in the urban slang nowadays, it's got a completely different meaning than it does when so it's kind of scary. Let's see, here's one that's a little creepy. Yeah, that's what you want. If homecoming, if home is where the heart is, would you bring your heart to me at homecoming? That's creepy. Maybe two more. This one is needy. It's high school. So homecoming, what was it? Homecoming without you is like coming to an empty house. It's lonely and sad. Would you be my LED? No, I'm sorry, I'm screwing this one up. Your LED, something about LED and being bright. You get the idea. Okay, here's one that's just so commonplace. I can barely contain my excitement. Would you be my honey at homecoming? All right, that one's just, yeah. All right, and one more. This one's kind of slightly poetic. Now I'm forgetting it. An evening with you would be so bright. It would be like it feels like it would last a fortnight. So that's 14 days of happiness, not the game where you shoot people. I don't think that would be a good one to get in there. And I think that'll do it. So thank you. Thanks.